The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 142. If you're out there, what's going on? We've planned for last couple of weeks now of having Mike Glover on with Fieldcraft Survival and former Green Beret. And he is, I think he might have had something come up at the last minute. Maybe he can join here in a little bit. But as of right now, it's something has come up, and we're going to kind of bullshit through this a little bit and see what happens. And like I said, maybe he's able to join here in a little bit. But as we are live as always on YouTube, and we'll take the audio from this, and not only will this be in replay, but this will also be on podcast form and all that on all of your favorite podcast hosting sites. So wherever you are, this is bound to be on there. I think I'm on like 27 different podcasting sites. So wherever you find your podcasts, this should be around. And if it's not, then let me know, and we'll make sure that we add that one on, as I'm assuming we're on most everything that you can possibly think of. There might be some obscure one that we're out there that we don't have, but you never know. So if you're out there live, go ahead and say hello out there in the side chat. We don't know if you're out there unless you say something. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, go ahead and let us know where you are and where you're from and all of that good stuff. We'll make sure we try to get a shout out to you. Other than that, guys, if you're watching a replay or listening in podcast form and you have a question or anything like that, go ahead and leave it in the comments section below. If you want to, yes, G23, we are on iHeartRadio. So we're on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, all the big ones. We're definitely on there. So if you have a question, like I said, tag myself, someone over in the side chat. The chat can get going. Sometimes I don't notice it. So unless you tag me, I may not see you. So if we're also, if you want to, you can text or call those questions in. Yes, we said call to 530-364-4678. That is the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by the Gun Cleaners. So thank you to Rod and Shelly Gates, our good friends over there. So real quick, before we bring in our co-host, if you want to call him that, basis what he is, let's go ahead and say hello to everybody out there. You got Midnight Range TM, 223 DMR, Nighthogs out there, Gun Loving Grandpa. What's up, Buck? Let's see here. Let me scroll down. Budget Guns and Gear. What's up, homie? You got George Cap Budget Show Friday night. He's got The Right of the People. It's one of my favorite podcasts throughout the week. I love it. Even if I can't catch it live, I always listen the next day. It's great, great stuff. So let's see here. Who else is out there? G23's out there. Joe Ziola. What's up, Joe? Mr. FNH. And Calaveras is out there. What's going on, Pickle? Midnight Range. I think I already said midnight. I think he was the first one. He was here about 3 hours ago. So D-Temp's out there. What's up, D-Temp? JJ, what's up, JJ? Georgia Rebels out there. What's going on? Marlene Whitney. Hello, Marlene. How are you? And Tommy Germany. What's up, Tommy? Hello from Socorro, New Mexico. What's going on in New Mexico? I don't remember the name, so welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel, and welcome from New Mexico. That's awesome. JMA's out there. What's up, homie? Semper Fidelis, brother. Anyways, that's all I can see right now. Like I said, if you're out there, go ahead and let us know that you're out there, and we'll make sure that we say hello. And if you're just now joining, we're going to have Mike Glover from Fieldcraft Survival on, former Green Beret, Special Forces, and government contractor and all that. And something, I guess, has come up kind of last minute. So hopefully he'll be able to join here when everything gets straightened out. So if you came in to see Mike, well, maybe hang on for a little bit and he can still join us and we'll try to entertain you. Do a little dance for you and all of that. So until he comes in, we got our good friend from the great state of Texas. We get the tactical virus. Leprechaun himself. What's going on, Clove?
Another day, not another dollar though.
Well, I understand that.
With YouTube, I think it's about another maybe 18 cents or something. I think
That
maybe.
sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah. Maybe 19. Maybe
But
19.
hey, it's 18 cents I didn't have yesterday, so I'll take it.
That is true. That's true. So yeah, and so it is what it is. And like I said, I know there's some people out there calling the old bait and switch and all that, and I get it.
The joy of live.
The joy of live. Something happens last minute, and there's nothing you can really do. He's been teaching a lot lately. There might be something going on at one of his classes. Who knows? But something's popped up the last minute, and we'll see if he can join in here a little bit. They are saying interpretive dance, death of a butterfly. I was thinking maybe Black Swan, maybe Nutcracker. What do you think?
How about that whatever African tribal dance from Can't Buy Me Love? I kind of like that one. That was kind of cool.
What was that? The African anteater dance or something like that.
Yeah, it was. It was the African anteater dance. That's what it was. Yeah.
I love Patrick Dempsey.
Yes.
Unknown user says stolen valor. That's no Green Beret. That's CloverTac.
Right.
He does have green up there.
Never once. I never once claimed. So, yeah, I was talking about Patrick Dempsey. He lives on the lake that's like 30 minutes from here. He's got a lake house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen the dude in town. A lot of people have. I never have.
Yeah. We've got a couple people that have homes here that are famous. We got a famous baseball player. He doesn't have a house here. His daughter does, or something like that. But Ben Stein, guy from
like
Ferris
Bueller.
Yeah, he's been here several times. Their family has a place on the lake, and Judge Reinhold was here a couple years ago. He's just as weird in person as he is on camera.
Yeah.
So cool guy, just kind of a hippie, which is awesome. I love that. Then again, when you're on vacation and you're just chilling and trying to, why not? So it was pretty funny. But yeah, we've got some people around here that it is what it is. D Tim says he has an inherent problem with the Nutcracker. I get it. Budget says as buck is about what I made today. I had 2 people sign up for my class today, and only one showed up. So I spent the day with one student. He got his money worth. Oh, okay. So he had a class. Only one. Yeah, that dude definitely got his money's worth.
Well, one-on-one.
At that point, though, how much? I guess you could really go into depth when you're teaching if you've only got one person where you're not spreading your time and all of that with other people. So it's not a bad thing. Maybe monetarily it could be, but as far as the instruction goes, I think that they probably enjoyed it. I would hope they did.
Yeah, you can tailor it to that specific person a lot of times instead of having to go kind of general with stuff.
Yeah,
what's neat.
Yeah, for sure. So so we're just, if you guys can't tell, I'm trying to waste a little bit of time seeing possibly if Mike can show up or not. So I keep checking my phone for messages and all that stuff.
It's worth throwing it out there, because we did the pass the mag collab. So there's a couple things that came out of that. First of all, just to put it out there, I know that there's always, there's a lot of people out there in the chat that have channels and do things and whatever. And so if you did not get in on that one, then get with Pickle out there, Calaveras 32 Special. He is working on getting another collab going. And then hopefully somebody picks up the torch even from there if there's more people. And then also I heard through the comment section on my Pass the Mag, the one I posted over on Full 30, and I don't have the email in front of me. Dad, nabbit, I put it down. But anyway, I got a contact finally with Full 30. I'd never really had that, and so got a contact with him, and I'm looking to see if I can find the email. And but anyway, email me if you're curious about getting on Full 30. I know a lot of people were asking about that, and he says send them to this email, and that will be the expedited process by which to get your stuff up on Full 30. So if you're interested in that, hit me up or Ghost or somebody, and I'll get you that contact info.
Yeah, and Cal's out there says he has commitments from Gearport and a few others.
Nice.
Yeah, I know that Jeff had sent an email to all of us there at Gearport, talking about the possibility and all that, and I talked to Jeff and I said, look, I mean, I'm more than happy to be involved, but since I've kind of already been one, and I'm sure I'm not speaking for you, but I think you probably feel the same way, is let maybe some of the other ones, and I know Toby was in on ours as well, so maybe some of the other ones jump in and get involved with Calaveras, since we've already kind of done one. It would be a good opportunity for others to do it. And like I said, and what Clover is saying also is we've actually, I know I have, and I'm pretty sure you have as well, but I've been contacted by a lot of people saying, oh man, I wish we could do it again.
Yep.
This isn't just a one-time thing. This wasn't like, we got this from, there was another group that did this with CMMG, and it's nothing that says that you can't do it. Like what Calaveras is doing, he's getting a group of people out there. So if you've kind of got a crew that you like to run with, and you all want to do it, do your own. And that's the beautiful thing is trying to get these videos out. And the Pass the Mag, I think, is a really cool collaboration. And I can't speak for your video, and I'll ask you here in a second. But on my, we all took the video that was made by Mr. Big Kid. And I do want to send a shout out to Mr. Big Kid. He is the one who compiled all the videos that we sent in, edited it, and it was his video that he made. I didn't edit it. When the video you see on my channel, I didn't make. All of us sent into one person. He edited it and produced it, and then we all put it out on our own individual channels. But the comments and how it's been received from my channel and my audience has been nothing but positive. And I didn't know, how have you been getting positive feedback from your viewers or anything, Clove?
That's all I've gotten. Yeah, I mean, this was great. This was awesome. Want to see more of this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I mean, I've heard stories of not, I don't think it was comments on somebody's video or anything, but I've heard some stories that there was some people that wanted to talk some smack. But yeah, that's the way it is. Haters got to hate, 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 as Taylor Swift would say.
I'll take your word for it. And I like first album Taylor Swift. She was like 16, I believe, when like Tim McGraw and all of those songs came out on that album. She was doing like small venue tour, and we happened to get tickets and get onto her tour bus for my daughter and three of her friends to meet Taylor when she was about a half an hour from here to college, and had some connections that were able to get us, I guess, backstage, but it was on her tour bus, which is even cooler. She was very, very nice, very, very sweet. You could tell that she was very young, but she was very professional. And when she hit the stage, she owned it like she had been on stage for 50 years. She was that good in concert. I'm not a big fan of the pop stuff, that whatever they're calling it these days, but very talented. I don't know why we got on a Taylor Swift thing. Oh, because you brought up Taylor Swift.
Because I brought it up, sure.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot, I kind of, my mind goes different directions. But no, going back to the Pass the Mag videos, two things. I think that the two things that I've come across and had conversation with people is from the audience. It was, I'm getting a ton of comments. Oh, this is awesome. I had never heard of a lot of these channels. That's even more channels that I've got to go check out. And that's kind of what it's been about.
Right.
And then from the flip side, from the creator side, within our own group, we have a little closed private group on Facebook. We do all the talking. And a lot of it was, man, it's nice to finally meet you and it's nice to work with you and maybe we could do something together down the road. And that, I think, from the creator side is what it's all about, is forging new friendships and forging new partnerships so that everyone kind of can benefit from it. I mean, we had people on that video that's got 25,000 plus subscribers down to like 40 like literally
Mhm.
40
Yeah.
subscribers on their channels. So
Yeah.
that was great. So kind of from your point of view, what were some of the, I mean, I don't think there, from my point, there were no negatives. There were no negatives. For you, were there any negatives, or what were some of the positive things that came through the process with you?
Some of the positives.
Yeah, like what were some of the things that you're glad or that came out of the collaboration that
Honestly, you know how I am about talking about, because I work with and collab and do things with things outside, even outside the firearm nation. So there's creator level things that it was interesting to see people's response to them, and everybody did really good considering. I don't know how much experience the vast majority of those 24, how many it was, creators have with collaboration and stuff, but um, it was it was refreshing to see everybody thinking on a creator level and a community level rather than kind of a selfish type level. Was pretty neat.
absolutely. I do want to, before we move on, I do want to say for those of you that are joining in, hoping and expecting to see Mike, Mike Glover was supposed to be joining us. Something came up in the last minute. We're hoping maybe he's going to be able to join us here in a bit, but so we're just kind of trying to have some fun, kill some time, talk about some good stuff, and hopefully Mike's able to join. If not, we obviously will reschedule Mike. So for the bait and switch, sorry about that. That was definitely not clickbait, I promise. But you never know. Like you said, life takes over. Something happens every now and then, and it is what it is. But hopefully he's able to join here a little bit. I did have a question out there from Nighthog on my video. He says, "How many takes to make that putt?" First take. I am that good. First take on the putt, on bouncing the ball on the golf club and all of that Tiger Woods style. That was actually the second take, because the first one I got everything done, but as I threw it away, the ball just kind of fell straight down. I wanted to go at least a little bit. My initial intention for that was to throw it up in the air and shoot it with the shotgun. And as I was kind of rehearsing a little bit, I realized I'm going to be throwing a golf ball within 2 to 3 feet of my face and shooting it with buckshot. What could go wrong? I know that you've got eye protection on, but that golf ball is going to turn into about 1,000 or 2,000 pieces of shrapnel. And I thought, that may not be the greatest idea in the world. So I decided against shooting the golf ball with the shotgun, which I think would have been cool, but safety, I felt weird about it. Now, one of the things that Clover and I had discussed at one point about his side of it is he, as you guys saw, he was shooting his bow in the beginning of his clip. And we thought it would be kind of cool maybe if when he passed the mag to maybe like duct tape the magazine onto an arrow and shoot it. And then I would just kind of have someone off camera like throw one and I would like catch the arrow like right here. And I thought that would have been cool, but there were so many really cool ideas that people had of how we could do things. And so for me, that was one of it, was kind of turning on those creative juices. And when you're having to rely on another creator to be part of that little gig, that's kind of cool. So it was fun for me. The whole thing was fun for me. It really was.
I had a little bit of concern with that. We talked about it, and I did
Yeah.
look at some things and play around with some things. And my first concern was damaging my bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would have had to have, for it to look right, I really would have had to have 2 shotgun shells in the end of that magazine. So you got the weight of that big magazine plus the shot shells. I could have started out with a pistol mag, but then I wouldn't have been able to strip the shotgun shells from it. So I mean, there was some logistic issues with that anyway, too.
Yeah.
And then time. I mean, for those of us that did some little quirky something, I mean, we were over the actual allotted time, and thank goodness that some of the creators out there were a little bit under time because that it
Yeah,
all balanced out.
yeah, it was. I think I didn't put a thing. I think mine was 34 to 38, 39 seconds maybe altogether. And then we were trying to push for what 30 seconds, what we were pushing for.
Yeah.
So I
I
mean, we
don't
did.
know. I don't know my time because I did two. I did two of the first scene, two takes on the first scene, and three takes on the second scene, just so Big Kid would have options to play with. And so I don't. Depending on which ones he used, yeah, I was pushing. By the time he edited down and done other things, I had to have been pushing 40 seconds easily.
I got a message there from Kathy Harrison. Kathy says, Ghost, hey from Utah. Hey, Utah. Very new to shooting and your channel. You helped me pick a sling.
Nice.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm glad that I could help. And by no means do I want you to think that all your decisions should be based on what I say, but I am glad that we could help you out. And if you have any questions, feel free to email or text or call. The number's down below. Comment on a video, whatever, and let me know, what kind of sling you got, or if you have any questions with anything else, we're always here to help. So thank you. I'm glad that we could help you, and welcome to the dark side. So it is what it
That's
is.
not
But thank you.
entirely true. You give out some pretty sound advice, so long as it's not a FUD gun.
Yeah, if you want advice on hunting, lever guns, hunting in general, lever guns, anything that you have to wear bright orange to survive,
Oh God.
probably not my gig. I don't hunt, and
You do
lever
duck.
guns.
I heard you. I heard you duck hunt with a 22 long rifle with a Gatling crank. That's was your duck gun.
There
What I
there
heard.
could possibly be an interesting duck hunting video coming down the line. Yes, yes. About the same way that you could hunt certain things.
Oh yeah, man.
Normal fetish. Rabbits. I think that you be very quiet. Clover's hunting rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
never
with
know.
with the 50 BMG baby.
Warsaw says, Ghost, have you ever had experience on piston driven ARs? Yes, I have. I've shot LWRCs before, and I shot an Adams Arms piston driven AR pistol at range day this past year. That was my first experience of shooting any of Adam's products, and I really liked it. And we've been in contact, and this whole thing has just kind of screwed a lot of things up. But supposed to be doing some stuff with Adams, this past spring, but it might be this summer coming up or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, I have shot some piston stuff. I like it. It's interesting. I mean, I guess for the average person, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of difference. You're not going to be able to really tell. Like if you were to tell me, if you would have, if hand me this rifle and just said, close your eyes and shoot it and just go on feel and all that, I don't know that I would have been able to tell any difference of the mechanical workings. Obviously, the gas blowback versus piston driven and all of that would be different. But as far as the performance, I probably wouldn't be able to tell any difference. What about you? Anything about piston driven ARs?
Yeah, I mean, it's more the blowback and dirt and stuff like that. For
Yeah.
performance wise, I don't really see any difference one way or the other. I've never seen a difference one way or the other. Now, that said, I don't own a piston driven, so I don't have
Yeah.
extensive time on a piston driven either.
Same
But
way. I don't own one. I hopefully will here in sometime in the future. You know. Let's see here. Kathy says, "Got the beach and tactical sling."
oh yeah,
You mean this sling right here?
oh yeah.
This sling right there? Yeah, I think Clover, you've got a beach and tactical sling as
Oh,
well.
I got a couple of Beecher tacticals.
There you
I
go.
think,
Same
yeah.
here. A matter of fact, I have two of them, and they both are the same ones, basically. But I think you got a. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you get like a pink or a bright color, green or zombie green? Did you not get like a bright colored one? I can't remember. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, I think I've got a zombie green and black, and then I've got a FDE in black, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
I've got so many
I knew
slings.
you had something that was.
It's hard to remember, but I think maybe the first one was either Blaze Orange or Hunter Green, and I mean or Zombie Green, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
May have been Blaze Orange now that I think about it.
I don't remember. I remember you getting a bright colored one. I just can't remember what color it
Yeah.
was. And it would have made sense to go with the zombie green, not only because a lot of what you do with your branding is green, but you actually like the zombie green stuff. Yep. Speaking of one of our brethren from the Past the Mag video, we got Rick Nethery on our channel. Go check him out for sure. But Rick sends a $5 super chat. Thank you, Rick. Says AK is piston driven, nothing new, been around forever. Semper Fi, that's right. And I think that a lot of that, and this is going to go back to the AR versus AK debate that could be going on forever. And that is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people like the AKs versus ARs is the issue with gas driven and the blowback and all that is sometimes those ARs that are gas driven can be over or under gassed. And what that does is especially if they're over gassed, you're going to start seeing brass flying basically straight out to the side, and you're going to see a lot of jams or malfunctions. And a lot of that is because if it's over gassed and that bolt and everything comes back and recharges, sometimes it's too fast and it doesn't have time to get that last brass casing out of the way before it gets that next chambered round. And with a piston driven, you're not going to have the over or under gassing problems. It's going to be pretty smooth. And that's why I think a lot of people will sit there and say the AKs malfunction a lot. And I think that was a lot of propaganda from the American military side. All of the AKs that I've shot, especially on the military side of things, they ran beautifully. All my AKs run beautifully. I don't have any problems with malfunction. So the piston driven is going to be that way. When you get into gas, you need to be cognitive of whether your AR is over or under gas. Do you want to bring up anything with the piston versus gas and AR versus AK?
Yeah, I mean, actually I do, because I ran across something that I did not know existed the other day. And
Okay.
I'm trying to think, good Lord, 20, not 20 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, anyway, was probably when I started my AR game, right? So, by the time 2013 rolled around and everybody was freaking out and ARs was kind of starting to get popular, it's kind of old news for me. I done built a ton of them and everything else. So when I run across this, I was like, man, maybe I need to keep up more because I didn't know this existed. And so, yeah, when you started talking about overgassing and undergassing, I was going to throw it out there and see if anybody had heard of the bootleg adjustable bolt carrier.
I'm sorry?
The bootleg adjustable bolt carrier. You adjust the gas from the bolt carrier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's kind of what I thought.
Is it, like you said, is this a new thing or is it an old?
I just heard about it like a couple of weeks ago, and I may have heard about it in passing before. I just never really thought about it. I heard like the bootleg bolt carrier group, and I never really, I thought that was a brand or something. I never really looked into it. And then here, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or something, somebody said, oh yeah, the bootleg, it's a 4-position adjustable, bolt carrier group. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. And
that,
I think it's been around 2 or 3 years, probably, at best of my research when I was looking it up. But yeah,
I had not heard of that. That's it. F&H says, "Can you find me one in stock, Clover?" I guess he's heard of them. But
sure.
That's interesting.
See if I can
now, is
find an affiliate
the
link.
name of the company? Is Bootleg the name of the company or what?
Bootleg is the company, or Bootleg? No, Bootleg. Yeah, I'm guessing Bootleg is the company.
Okay.
But Bootleg Incorporated. From what I'm kind of looking right now, I pulled it up. So yeah, they may be a little hard to find because a couple places I just clicked on looking, they were set out of stock. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't. I would be interested in that. Because a lot of people when they get their ARs in general, I'm not saying anyone out there in particular, but in general, a lot of people when they first get their ARs, especially if they're kind of new to AR platform, um, and it's over or under gas. Typically, it's usually over gassed, if anything, but
mhm.
over or under gassed, they'll have malfunctions, they'll have issues, and they'll start dogging the brand or dogging the AR and saying, "Oh, this is a piece of shit and this company's horrible." And the rifle itself and all the components and the parts might be great, but if it's over gassed, that thing is not going to run. I mean, one out of every maybe 4 or 5 shots are going to have issues. That's just the way it is. And if there is a way for someone to get that BCG and able to adjust the gas on it, and that could, level everything out and make that rifle run, that's awesome. I love the idea of that. Talking about no more innovation, that's pretty cool. I'm
Yeah,
surprised
I
I haven't
mean,
heard something like that before.
yeah, I mean, you don't have that's a lot easier, fix for that situation than a gas block, adjustable gas block, and having
Mm,
a jack with taking the gas block on and off, and uh, just a drop in part. And like I said, I've got no experience with it, so don't think I'm
right.
saying one way or
Rob says you're out there bootlegging parts now.
another. Right, right.
Um, F&H says he was going to get one. They're actually fairly priced, but they went out of stock over at Optic Splint before he could get it.
Yeah, they're about
So they're out
$175. They're about
there. And honestly, that's not bad at all for a BC. I mean, that's actually cheaper than some companies' BCGs.
yeah, that's a high end. That's a high end
It
bolt
is.
carrier group.
But if it is
Not
adjustable
bad.
gas,
Yeah,
that
no,
that is
for what it is,
yeah,
I don't think the price
if
that's
it works.
price is out of the realm if it works. Correct. Yeah,
Now, have you
yeah.
seen any videos or
I
illustrations
have
on
not.
how it's
No,
supposed to work?
no. I mean, I've got a general idea just for where the adjustment's at.
Yeah.
So it's
So
basically
where is the
got a.
adjustment?
It
Is it,
basically has a. I don't want to say it's a valve, but it basically has like a keyed. I guess you could call it like a keyed ball valve almost, or something like that. Just under the gas key. So it's kind of how it
okay.
works.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, that is, and Rick's out there says sounds like it could be a game changer. And I mean, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And it's one of those. F&H says that Jim Tech's version is over 400.
Did not know Jim Tech had one, so that's good to know.
I didn't know either, and all that. So yeah, it's just going to be that's a cool concept, and people out there are saying there's no innovation in the industry anymore. And like I said, there are a lot of people that get their first AR and they get one that's overgassed, and it just isn't going to run, efficiently.
Mhm.
They might get a bad taste in their mouth about that company or about the AR in general, but it could be something as simple as a little gas adjustment, and that's pretty awesome. That's really cool. Let's see here. Rick says been helping put a couple of builds together with his future son-in-law. Just put together a Beowulf. It's sick. I bet it is. We were talking about. Oh, yours is the 458 SOCOM, right?
Yeah.
You have 458 SOCOM.
Mhm.
And we were talking sometime, not you and I, but we were talking on another chat. I think it might have been Midnight Ranges a few weeks ago. We were talking about different, he was looking into getting a different AR platform caliber. I think he ended up going with 300 Blackout, but they're throwing out different things. And for your money, what do you think of that 458 SOCOM in case people are out there wanting to know?
Oh, I like the 458 SOCOM,
Hmm.
no doubt. The I would recommend 458 SOCOM, ballistically, subsonic capabilities, and for suppression and some other things. Um, so with some of the versatility and some of the other stuff, I like the four. There's a reason I went with it over, say, a 50 Bayo or a 450 Bushy, was, it just seemed a more versatile caliber to me. Also seemed, as far as projectile selection and a lot of that stuff as well, seemed a little bit better. Um, that said, the 50 Bayo, um, depending on what state you're in and some stuff like that, the 50 Bayo is straight wall. So, when you talk about hunting and some different stuff like that, that's why you see a lot of the 50 Bayos, honestly.
Yeah,
So it's got its place regardless.
sure. We got a text in on the old hotline from Jason. Says, what do you think of the Beretta 92 when you were in the service? Just picked up a Langdon Tactical Elite recently. My thoughts on the 92. The 92 is my favorite handgun ever. Not because it's awesome, not because it outperforms everything, not because it's practical. Clover knows this, and many people that know me know this. I had basically zero experience shooting firearms before I joined the Marine Corps. And so the first rifle I ever shot was an M16A2, and the first handgun shot I shot was a Beretta M9. That being said, the M9/92 will always hold a special place in my heart. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people in the Marine Corps, in any of the services, they hate the M9. And there are reasons why they hate that. But for me, it was, and this is probably the reason also that I like 9mm. I would imagine it's what I learned to shoot on. And so I had no other experiences, and I loved shooting handguns. And a lot of that was because that was my first experience. And wow, this is awesome. And I remember pulling trigger the first time on the A2, just like, oh my, this is amazing, and so yeah, the 92 is always going to have a special place in my heart because it was kind of the first handgun that I ever kind of shot or ever learned to shoot on. So it was, I know that JM out there, he said, yep, he hated it. And there are a lot of people that do not like the 92 M9, whatever. And I'm not saying by any means it's the best gun ever made. It's my favorite handgun. Right. It's not the best by far.
Right.
Rick says he's seriously wanting a new M9A3. Can't stop looking at them. Yeah, here's the thing. There's one at my gun shop right now, and it's an FDE, and it is literally screaming my name. And
yeah, there's a 92X in mine, same way.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I want it so bad, but I just, my pocketbook's saying, please don't.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Whoa, TJ's out there. TJ said that's why he loves 9mm as well. Started with that Smith & Wesson, though. So, yeah, and I think a lot of that, if you have a positive experience with your first handgun or rifle or whatever, regardless of what brand it is, if you have a good positive, you're probably going to have a good positive reaction to that caliber and to that brand. I enjoy Smith & Wesson. Clover for semi-automatic is not the biggest fan in the world.
Centerfire semi-automatic.
Yes.
Be specific.
Centerfire, you're the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But that's just that's what it is. And you're talking about starting with that, and people also know that I'm not a huge revolver guy. And the biggest reason is I had a Model 10. Hated it. Haven't gone back to revolvers. Are there better ones out there? Obviously. But in my mind, I had a bad experience with it, didn't like it. And Clover's been trying for a year or two now, trying to get me into the revolver game. We've actually spent hours. When I say hours, like hours looking at different revolvers for me to get into.
I think you don't have the perspective. You didn't have the perspective then that you've got now. And I think if you had that Model 10 now, you would appreciate the Model 10 more now, because the Smith & Wesson Model 10 is about as solid as a revolver as you can get.
Yeah. No, and it wasn't. It was not a bad experience because it was a shitty gun.
Yeah.
It was just it feel good to me. It didn't feel right. Once again, first revolver. It is what it is. I think I would probably love to have. We looked at a couple of. I would love to have a little snub nose 357. That would be awesome. Shoot 38 special or 357 through that. It'd be great. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those that to this very day, because I didn't like the feel or the looks of that Model 10, I've kind of had something against revolvers, and I think that's natural. I think that's natural for everybody. If you have a bad experience with something, you're just not going to like it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Screaming Skull Saloon says started with a Beretta 92 FS back in '99, then went to 40 Smith in 2006, then went to 45 in 2009. He now owns 6.9 millimeters and 10 millimeter. That's something that a 10 millimeter handgun is something that I've actually kind of looked into. I think it'd be kind of cool. I really like 357 SIG also. I like the way it performs and it feels much better than a 40. But like I said, I don't mind 45. I enjoy 9. I know what 9's going to give me. I know how it's going to perform. I know it's kind of works for me. But yeah, 10 millimeter handguns. I know that you're a fan of 10 millimeter. What do you think about 40 and all of that as well?
Yeah. A what? A 40? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh?
Right.
What's that? I never heard of a 40.
All right. So I've got David out there sent me a text, and I'm going to bring you in on this because you have a video that just dropped on this. But he said, going off the Beretta, thoughts on the Taurus PT92 or the Gerson knockoff? Thanks.
Okay. So
David. So go ahead. You just put a video out on the Gerson.
I do, man. And it's rocking and rolling. Of course, I was one of the first people in the country to get hands on that, so them things just rolled into the country. But, so I got done filming. I told you before we came on air, I was doing some benchtop stuff. I've actually got a Gerson versus Taurus video. And I'm not going to spoiler alert any of that. Gerson. But yeah, I've got the first impression on the Gerson. Now, it is the Regard MC Gen 4. And definitely go watch the video. I kind of go over all the features and stuff like that. But oh my God. I don't think I've ever experienced a trigger as good as that pistol in a single action, double action, not out of the box.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified that.
What's that? It is single action, double action. Yeah. Be it CZ, be it Beretta, be it I don't know, take your pick, right? But yeah, hammer fired, single action, double action, out of the box. Man, the reset is what's tremendous, and I like a nice reset. And it's how in the world they pulled off that kind of reset on single action, double action. I do not know. It's crazy. I've had a lot of questions on this. I'll go ahead and answer it here. I've answered it in comments and stuff like that. Yes, the Gerson does take Beretta mags. The Taurus does not, in case you're curious about that. Taurus uses proprietary magazines. The Taurus safety is mounted on the frame, which the old Berettas, Taurus is built off old Beretta equipment. So that stands to reason. The Gerson is slide mount, basically just like a Beretta. Price point between the Taurus PT92 and the Gerson Regard, pretty much the same. But I'm going to tell you now, for the extras that you get, the Gerson probably is going to be the way to go.
Right.
Unless you're looking at one of the blinged out, because I do got one of the blinged out version Tauruses, or if you want something special like that, gold, stainless with gold accents and rosewood grips and stuff like that, you'll have to go Taurus.
Yeah, I just
not a fan of the magazine window.
You were talking about that when we were talking earlier when you first had gotten it. That's what you could put.
Yeah, I mean, you could put regular grips on it, and cover. You don't have to run just regular G10s and get rid of the grips with the windows. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I guess some people like that, but I don't really care.
it's like you said, for some people that might be,
Yeah,
and maybe it's just because they want to be a little different.
maybe,
Who knows?
maybe.
You never
I
know.
don't know. Yeah.
I got a text from G23 that I refused to read. So, G23, you are banned from the channel. Go away, and you're never welcome back again.
I wouldn't
Uh,
refuse. I wouldn't refuse it, but I would say that he maybe a $20 super chat. You could read that.
maybe a $20 super chat you can get back in, because the text says 40 for life, and you need to get a 40.
Yeah.
Negative.
I had a
Negative.
40, got rid of a 40.
Now, I can get a 40 as long as there is a barrel conversion of 357 SIG. I'd be okay with that.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had several 40s. I'm not one of these people that have never had a 40, never experienced a 40, never shot a 40, and I'm just talking up my butt or jumping on a bandwagon. Have had 40s.
I've had two.
I've shot many, but I've owned 4. So, I had traded them off for basically the same pistol in 9mm every single time. One of them was a pistol caliber carbine, but yeah, traded them all for the 9mm. Found somebody that they wanted the 40. They were on that 40 bandwagon or whatever it was, and I'm like, sure, I'll trade you for that 9mm, no problem.
Yeah, I had a Shield and 40 and a Glock 23, and neither one of them lasted very long in my possession. It is what it is. Kathy out there says thoughts on the PPQ trigger, and this is, we could both answer this. First, I had the PPQ subcombat, and I've got it sitting right over here. If I could bring it in, I would. But I've got several videos on the channel with the PPQ subcompact, and it is the best, if not tied for the best stock trigger I've ever shot. The Canic is up there. I'm not going to lie. I think the Canic is actually probably a little bit. The Walther claims 1/10 of an inch of reset. The Canic might be a little bit shorter, but the Walther overall feel that trigger is probably the best stock trigger I've ever shot in my life.
Yep.
I can't imagine anybody, unless they're super like wanting to get like a Q5 match or something like that. These are competitive shooters, and they want to. The average person, I don't think that there would be a valid reason why anyone would ever want to go get a Walther PPQ in any model and go get an aftermarket trigger. If you have one, great. If you go get aftermarket, fantastic. I don't see it. I know that you have. The great thing is you've got PPQs and different models in the subcompact. So why don't you tell her what you think the PPQ and the different models that you have?
Oh, I agree with you. I've got the 5-inch, which is basically is the Q5 match without the few little upgrades like the trigger and a couple of other things.
Right.
Frame size, slide, everything else pretty much the same. Not the steel frame, obviously, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It's definitely up there. It's definitely one of the best triggers ever on an out of the box striker fire. I'm gonna say for sure. There's some hammer fires out there when you're talking 1911s, when you're talking the Browning Buckmark, when you're talking several things like that. The phenomenal triggers, but yeah, for striker fire for sure, one of the best. Now, interesting, it come around to this too, because I've got a video that's going to drop probably Saturday. It's a benchtop review comparing the Walther PPQ 22 to the Walther PPQ 9mm, and though they are all but absolutely identical aesthetically and externally and everything else, totally different on the inside. So just would like to throw that out there in case somebody's listening to this and they're going to go get a PPQ and they say, well, okay, I'm just going to plink around. I'm going to get the 22. Yeah, I don't want to spoiler alert that video, but I just want to let you know it's not a centerfire PPQ on the inside. It looks like it. It's the same size. The grip's the same. Manual of arms is the same. Blah 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 blah.
And that surprised you, if I'm not mistaken, did it not? You were surprised?
It did.
That?
I never did. I didn't research it when I reached out to him and we was going to T&E it. I assumed it was a PPQ-22. I assumed it was striker fire. You know,
Right.
yeah, it blew my mind when it wasn't. Um, but because of that, I think, and several other factors that I do explain in that video, I won't go over here. Uh, that trigger is not nearly as good as the PPQ trigger. So, uh,
Right.
but yeah. So, and to be honest on mine, this is something that I did mention. I think in I think my 1,000 round video with the PPQ or something like that. Um, Mine had some roughness or some grit in the pre-travel up until about 100 or 200 rounds. So
Right.
if you get one and it does feel a little rough to you, just run some rounds through it. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Buck says like the Canic better. He also says hashtag Canic Nation. Huge fan of Canic. Love Canic. Got one right over there as well.
That's the number two. That's the number two one that's sitting at the gun shop. I've been eyeballing too. Is a Canic.
They've got different models. The Canic, I'm telling you what, it is what it is. But they put some amazing handguns out there the last few years. There was a question that someone asked. Oh, Wayne Barnhart. I don't remember seeing that name. Welcome, Wayne. Says, what are your thoughts on the Hellcat? I'm assuming that you're talking about either the Springfield Hellcat. I've shot the Springfield Armory Hellcat. Don't own one. It's a great little gun. I mean, it's there's so many that are out there that are just the same gun, basically, with different brand names. It's a good gun. I am not one of those that hate on Springfield. I think for what they are, Springfield has always kind of put out the XD, the XDS, and XDMs, and all that for the price. I really, I like the Springfield XD series. Especially for the price. Great guns, but the Hellcat's a good one, but you're talking about up against Shields, Glock 48s, SIG 365s. I mean, you're talking about a very, very competitive kind of subcompact carry pistol, what do you call it? Genre almost. Very, very competitive. I don't think it's as good as some of those other ones, but it is definitely better than others. Do you have any experience with the Hellcat?
Yeah, I mean, so I got some range day experience, and then I've got some through the local gun shop, and I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
it. But I also, I mean, to be fair, because it's a lot of personal opinion, and how does it
Sure.
fit your hand, and does it naturally line up when when you present and things like that. Um, not a fan of the 48 you mentioned, and I'm not a fan of the 365 you mentioned either.
Right.
So I mean, it
Right.
stands to reason I wouldn't like the Hellcat either. So there
Yeah.
you go.
TJ says that he likes it connects with their price points. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at. I mean, I don't know what they are right now. Before the last couple of months, they kind of gone up a excuse me price a little bit, but you could get 350 roughly between 350 399 depending on the model. You definitely get it sub 400, and if you got the 1 series, sometimes you're looking at two something, that is a great thing. Some people are selling for two something anyway. So, but yeah, the Canic is great. If you haven't checked out Canic, you need to go check that out. Here's one for you, Joel Big. What's up, Joel? Leo's out there said the XD series should be at Ruger prices. Now, I probably would agree with that a little bit. Toby's out there. But Clover Kathy says, I'm going to put this up on the screen for you. I don't think the P22 is actually made by Walther, neither is the CCP.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so yes and no. But go ahead. You go ahead and tell the story. Yeah.
Right. You can tell the story.
Yes and no. Well,
yeah. But you're right. Yes and
the
no.
CCP, I don't know anything about the P22. The CCP and the PK380. Understand that Umarex air guns and Walther are one and the same as far as companies and share buildings. Mm-hmm. So the CCP and like the PK380, and I'm going to let Clover speak on the P22. Some of these are working possibly on frames that were, I'm not going to say they're airsoft frames, but they were definitely designed to be a little less expensive. Does that make sense? I was not a big fan of the PK 380. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But there are some of those Umarex designs that might filter into Walther, and obviously Walther designs can filter into Umarex. But you want to go ahead and talk about it? You can as well.
I think it has to do with machining capabilities,
Could be.
which I think gets a little bit into frame size, barrel size, caliber, and some different things like that. Is that one they come out of one factory as opposed to the other? They're all arms of the same person, basically. In the end, I picked up my PPQ 22 here just to look, because the PPQ 22, it says Umarex absolutely nowhere on it that I can see. But
Now,
I do know that it's built in
Germany or say Fort Smith, Arkansas.
It's both, actually.
Okay.
Believe it or not. Um, so, yeah, it's going to be, this PPQ 22 is going to be Umarex. The Colt licensed 1911 22s from Walther, also Umarex. So, but yeah, I mean, they still, if you're worried about the Walther reputation or something like that, I wouldn't be too terribly concerned.
Not at all.
Because it's still, like I said, still all basically under the same umbrella, the same roof.
Yep. I've been to their factory. They're only a couple hours from me. Phenomenal people. Obviously, Clover and I have great relationships with the companies, both Umarex and Walther. And, matter of fact, I'm getting ready to. Umarex is sending me a Glock 19 Gen 3 airsoft CO2 for me. Cool. Yeah. And because I want to start doing some training inside with airsoft, working on different things that you can simulate that reset and the trigger and all that, and actually the CO2 and all that. You can actually, I'm going to utilize that for training indoors and stuff. So they're going to send me one that's just like my my combat or my battle pistol, which is a Gen 3. I love the Gen 3 Glock 19, but this will fit my holster. It'll be identical to that Glock 19. So, but they're great people and all that. But I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? I don't know if I did or not.
I don't think you did. I was just going to talk. I know Kathy out there specifically mentioned the the P22. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the CCP. And speaking to both of those pistols, one thing that I want to point out, since those were the two models mentioned, and I believe the last time Cody was on the podcast, I think it's when maybe we talked about this. I can't remember, but both the P22 and the CCP, within the last maybe couple of years, 3 years, I would say tops, have went through some design changes. They had some issues. The P22 and the CCP, completely crappy pistol, I think is what some people had named it there. Had named it there for a while. And the P22 had some definite reliability issues when it comes to ammo and stuff like that. And he talked about, I forget now exactly what some of the changes were, but that may have been honestly, that may have been more so when Umarex took over. I haven't looked at the timeline, and they may have lined out those issues, but the later models, anything within the last, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years, should be a little more solid than the older stuff.
I want to say that this year over Antares shoot on shot the Sunday prior to SHOT Show, Antares Walther was there. And I want to say I shot the CCP a couple 3 minutes. Like he kept giving me, I think the CCP is the one that they just kept feeding me magazines. Remember that?
Yeah, CCP 380. That was
the new one. And I had no problem. Felt great. So if there were issues, I don't know. I've never shot the P22, but this one that I shot was phenomenal.
The CCP 380 is not going to be for everybody. And the reason I say that is the trigger is weird, because it's one of those small frame, kind of like we was talking, a minute ago, kind of like we were talking about, those, small frame carry pistols or whatever. And so that trigger is, it's kind of long. It's not rough. It doesn't have a heavy pull. Nothing like that, but it's just long. So, I mean, it's one of them that it shoots great. I enjoyed shooting it then, and I've had an opportunity to shoot one a couple times since, and they shoot great, and I would not be opposed to carrying one, but it is going to take some range time to get used to that trigger.
Yeah, I saw just this now, and I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Joel says, "I love my Luger for home defense." Now, was it supposed to be a 9mm Luger or an actual Luger? Because if you have an actual like 1945 Luger, that's badass.
Right.
So
It'll work. It'll work.
was it supposed to be 9mm Luger, like a 9mm Parabellum like ammo, or you actually have a Luger? Let me know out there, Joel. That's awesome.
All right.
Anyways, I love old Lugers. They're cool looking, you know. Those were the guns that when people came back from World War II, that's why they started making that law about confiscating and bringing home, you know, war souvenirs. Is there were people that were literally taking a German Luger. In the world, someone is really loud with their truck. Anyways, people were taking the Lugers and literally taking them part by part and disassembling them and mailing them back home part by part. So when they got home, they could put together this Luger. So phenomenal gun, well ahead of its time engineering wise, in comparison to what, you know, most of the world had. That Luger was awesome. But yeah, that Luger, if you've got a Luger, that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Wayne, might be a dumb question. Do you know why STI changed their name to Staccato? Did someone leave the company or legal issues? I have no idea. I'm assuming that the Staccato was the S part of STI. I don't know. I don't follow STI, but I'm assuming maybe there was a. I don't know if there was legal issues or what. It very well could be down to they sold out and just changed the name. You know. New ownership, whatever. You never know. Do you know anything about that?
The best is a Texas company, so I mean I know a little bit. The best I know is that the Staccato was a model, of course, and the popularity.
So Staccato isn't the S part of STI.
No, it is not. Staccato is not. It's
I don't even know what STI stands for.
Sire Trip or something like that, incorporated,
Okay.
something like that. It's somebody's last names, I think, is what it was. Incorporated the STI. But I think it was just a rebranding. I mean, that stuff started to catch on in the competition world, and you start, what do you shoot? Oh, staccato, you know. And so I think it was more a branding move. That Staccato was getting thrown around more than STI, so let's take the stupid STI and just change over.
Makes sense to me. I mean, yeah. I don't know much about STI, so I wouldn't, you know, like I said, for all I knew, the S in STI was Staccato. So, but no, that would make sense if people are just going to call it a Staccato, regardless if it's STI or whatever. Might as well change the name. So it is for marketing reasons. That's probably a smart idea, but I never knew that. Midnight says, "Oh, never mind. I was right. Shows what I know." He thought that a Staccato was a model, but he wasn't sure. And getting emails.
It was originally, but yeah. Joel says it was
his buddy's grandfather brought a Luger back from the war, and we shot it once. That'd be awesome. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, you can get Lugers now, obviously, but back then, the only way you were going to get them is if you smuggled them in from the war, you know. And a lot of people were sending them back piece by piece, you know, in 1945, literally sending them piece by piece in the mail. So when they got home, if someone looked at it, it was just a spring or it was just, you know, whatever. And there you
back
go.
Then there wasn't a big deal with mail and stuff like that. And there, you know, a lot of what do they call them? What do they call them? Duffel bag guns or bag guns, or I can't remember now. But you know, one of the things that you see a lot, I talked about this before, but the GIs, you could basically bring back anything that could fit in your pack, in your bag, and so you had soldiers coming
Unfortunately,
back,
people were leaving their gear overseas to load up with.
right, and load up other stuff. But literally, they would cut the stock. They would take a saw or something, and they would cut the stock or something
Yeah.
to get these rifles to fit in their bag. And then
Yeah.
when they get back home, they would a lot of them you see with metal plates, to attach the stock back or whatever. And if you ever see an old milsurp rifle like that, you think, oh man, somebody butchered that rifle. No, because if it's cut at the stock in such a way that it would be,
That's how they got it
be
home.
able to fit into a bag, that's actually what they call a bag cut in the collector's world. And so it really doesn't hurt the value that much because that's a sure sign. If it's all original, it's a sure sign it was a bringback.
Now, Joel says it's a 1942 German P08
Nice.
Luger. That's awesome.
It works.
That is awesome. Yeah. Nice. Buck says Radar mailed a Jeep back going MASH. MASH, my dad loved MASH. And this is going to sound weird, but you'd have to understand that they were talking like the late 70s, early 80s. I was young, but I remember them. But my parents every year would have MASH parties. And MASH was a huge, huge show. And I think up until Seinfeld's final show, the MASH series finale was the most watched TV program like ever, But MASH was a great show. I remember growing up watching it. But my parents would have MASH parties. And basically, it was just an excuse for them to dress up in army clothes. And basically, they shut down the neighborhood. And there'd be like hundreds of people at this thing. And they would do like Olympic events, but it all was based around beer chugs. Understand that I was not involved with it, but I was there and had fun and all that. But yeah, MASH, Radar was good. Hawkeye, Hot Lips, and great show. If you haven't go watch MASH, it's a great show. But Radar was a funny dude. Colonel, is it Potter? I think it was Colonel Potter. Anyways, but yeah, great show. I don't know where that came from. I just saw MASH on there. I kind of went off into a little thing. I'm trying to go up here and see if I missed. Oh, Defense Dad said that almost got the P22 for the kiddo for her birthday recently, but ultimately went with the TX22. Not regretting the decision. Not a 22 guy. What do you think of the TX22? You liking it?
I don't have a TX22.
I thought you had one.
No, I don't have a TX22. I've shot one. It's okay. And I would say the same thing for a P22, even a later model. It's okay. For kids, depends on the age of the kids. Small kids with small hands. And there's a reason I own a P22, and this is exactly why. Over the years of shooting sports, I found that the P22, the grip on it is just really small. And it's super helpful for little kids with small hands. So, but if you've got older kids, the TX22 is going to be fine.
Yeah, Joel says he bought the Luger at a gun store in Ohio, paid $480 for it. I don't know if that's a good price or not. I haven't priced Lugers in a while, but if you're looking for something that's 70 years old, almost 80 years old,
that's a pretty good price. I don't know how long ago he did that, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. So G23 had asked earlier if I got his email, so I do want to say yes, I got your email and I looked at it. And he was wanting me to look at a video that he put out, and I looked at it, saw nothing wrong with it. So good job, man. I think it was one of his, if not his very first produced video that wasn't one of his live shows. So go check out G23. And he did I think it was the F-16 flyover yesterday for Memorial Day at his hometown. They had a group of jets fly over, which is pretty cool. JMA, interesting. JMA says his dad had an AK from the Korean War. That would be interesting. That would be awesome. Yeah, that'd be interesting to shoot. Defense Dad Clover says she's 11. It's easy. Excuse me, easy for her to shoot. started her with his Ruger Mark One, and she wanted her own gun. So
Yeah, 11 probably. I mean, it depends on the size of the kiddo and all
sure,
that.
yeah,
So,
that's true.
but yeah, when you're dealing with, we have them come in as early as 8. That's the youngest, and man, some of the especially girls at 8 are itty bitty bitty. So the
Yeah,
smaller grip helps.
yeah. Um, well, we're going for I don't know over an hour.
Right.
Doesn't look like Mike's going to be able to join us tonight, so we'll reschedule
Yeah.
with him and hope everything.
Suckers.
Yeah, yeah. I hope everything's okay with him and everything's good to go. But one of those things that happens, man. Life takes over. Something that happens at the last minute. It is what it is. But we'll get Mike rescheduled for sure. Um, I'm going to be on Thursday night over with Crump on the Fireside Chat.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'll be over there. I don't know if it's 8 or if it's 9 Central or 9 Eastern. I think it's 9 Central. I don't remember. I'll be on Thursday night over with Crump, and then I'll be recording next week. I don't know when it's going to be put out, but I'm on a task force with the VA, and it's pretty amazing. I've had several meetings with big wigs in the VA about suicide prevention and all that, which it's honored to be involved with that. But one of the people that's on the task force with me, he's actually on the presidential task force for mental health and suicide prevention that Sedini's on also. So we have a mutual friend with Sedini, but he's on the presidential task force as well. Went to the White House and all that, and he does a podcast. I'm going to be recording with him next week, and when I find out when that's going to be published, I'll make sure I let everyone know when that one is. But that's going to be fun as hell to talk different things that are kind of different than what I'm typically talking about. So that'll be an interesting conversation. But anyways, as far as Memorial Day weekend, do you do anything special, or were you being rained on all the time?
Well, pretty much rained on all the time.
I hear you. I thought I might have seen. Did you and Armentia finally get out and go eat somewhere? Or I thought I saw a post that she put. It was
No.
nice to get out. Or was she saying we need to get out?
No, the town we went to, that was going to be the plan. The town
Yeah.
we went to pretty much was not allowing, still not allowing people to go inside. And that was a county thing. So,
Mm.
and I kind of had some sneaking suspicions when we went into that county to go because they had some pretty draconian lockdown stuff that
Really?
they had passed. Yeah, a little bit more draconian than the governor, than the state pushed anyway. And so, kind of felt that way, but I was like, yeah, surely there's 50% capacity or something. And yeah, there wasn't. So we ate, but we had to get it to go or whatever and eat in the car. And
In the car. Now,
it was
some
all
I
weird.
don't know about where you're at, but a lot of before you could start letting them in, they started out at 33% capacity. Now I think it's up to 50% in that phase 2 or whatever it is here in Arkansas. But prior to that, you had to either eat in your car, take it home, or whatever. But a lot of businesses, what they started doing is putting like picnic tables, like out in the parking lot, spread out, obviously. But if you wanted to, you could get your food to go, and then they would have maybe 5 or 10
Yeah.
picnic tables.
Well,
And
it was
do those around there? Did they do that at all?
it was raining anyway. So there
Well,
may have,
no, in general, did you
well,
ever
there may,
see?
I didn't see any. No, I did not see any. But I honestly didn't look. But I know that several other places have patios and things like that. So would have been curious. But yeah, it was raining anyway. So wouldn't have done any good.
Yeah. Yeah. JMA out there. Right on, brother. But yeah, it was interesting. I did a quick, this will be kind of the last thing we kind of talk about, but I did a quick live stream on Instagram yesterday because I got a text from one of our friends, and I won't mention his name, from one of our friends that said that there are people out there getting mad about people saying Happy Memorial Day. And what did I think about that? And so I I told him what I thought about it. Then I decided, might
Right.
as well like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It wasn't long on Instagram. Just kind of thought, well, let's talk about this for a little bit. And my thing is this is, if you get upset about the words Happy Memorial Day, then grow up. I mean, honestly, my take on this is Memorial Day is there to honor those that did not come home, those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect our way of life, our rights, our freedoms, and who we are as America. And the last thing that I can imagine, and I only say this if it was me, how could I want someone to not be happy about being an American? Is it a somber day in a way? Yes, it is. But the celebration of life and the celebration of their lives, that's what we're there for. And for them to sacrifice their lives so that we could enjoy our freedoms and way of life, I think we owe it to them to live. And that's what I said. The best way to honor the dead is by living and enjoying. And I've never, and you know this, I every year I do a thing on Memorial Day weekend, and I always say, enjoy your family, your friends, do your cookouts.
Right.
I'm not saying don't do the cookouts, but let's also remember why we're able to do those cookouts. But for someone to get mad because they're saying Happy Memorial Day, for me, I don't know, man. That's just, I think you're taking life a little bit too seriously, because if it was me and I had died, I don't think that my family and all that would want people not to say Happy Memorial Day. Once again, in my eyes, you honor the dead by living. So, I don't know. Have you ever seen anyone get distraught or upset about people saying Happy Memorial Day?
Yep. Every year.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I should have said this. Do you get upset when people say Happy Memorial Day?
No, I don't.
Does it offend you or anyone that you would? I mean,
it doesn't, and it doesn't for the same reason. I mean, I don't think that if you could break out the Ouija board and summon spirits or whatever, I don't think you would find any of them that would tell you that they don't want you to continue to enjoy life and embrace life and everything else. And probably they wouldn't. They'd probably say they don't care whether you remember them or not. They didn't do it for that reason, right?
that's right.
They didn't do it for themselves or whatever. They did it for the bigger cause. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't. It's to me, it's not a sign. I think if you talk about the other things that you just mentioned, anyway, I don't see a problem. Now, if you just throw out the empty meme or picture or whatever,
Getting drunk in the keg saying Happy Memorial Day, then yeah, I get that.
And I get it. But I mean, if you show a picture of military grave site, and say Happy Memorial Day, you show a picture of the whatever the Soldier's Cross or whatever, and or silhouetted, or the whatever, the Vietnam Wall, or something like that, right?
Right.
And it's put within that context of enjoy your Memorial Day, but also remember this,
Yeah.
and I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, JMA says that his friend's mom does get upset, but I mean, obviously, if it's your child and all that, and especially if it's relatively new in the last decade, yeah, it's still going to be tough losing a child, and we're not supposed to outlive our children for any reason, honestly. But it's interesting. I asked a couple other people this also, and they kind of got the same remark. No, I don't care, but I do know people that do. And I think it's interesting that most of the people that I've come across, this is just me personally, that I've come across that get offended by it didn't serve anyways. So,
oh, well, there you go.
What it is. But no, I mean, it's one of those things where I think that if you live life as the cup is always half full in any certain way, you have to look and say, yes, we are sad that these people are no longer there. But it's not a sad day if you look at it once again. the best way to honor and treasure those lives is to live and understand that not only did they die for something that was bigger than them, they did it because they knew that our country would be better for it.
Mhm.
Once again, there's no reason to be somber. It'd be sad, miss them, absolutely miss these people, talk about them, remember them, absolutely. My thing is I'm gonna honor them by enjoying life, and I think that's what we should all do. But that's just me.
Right.
What's up, Keith? How you doing, man? So we've been going almost an hour and a half, and once again, if you joined in, you tuned in, I am going to change the thumbnail and the title for this. Obviously, um, Mike had something come up. We're going to try to get Mike in at a later time. But it's been a great conversation. Defense dads have a buddy who doesn't like people saying it, but he was a combat medic and reminds him of things he saw overseas. He wants people to understand the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Now, that's an interesting point because I think a lot of people do get confused. And I don't know if you saw it, but there was a company within our industry that had a little hiccup this weekend. They actually sent out a post and then had to send in an email apologizing. They put wordage and verbiage on a post that was more for Veterans Day instead of Memorial Day. And there are a lot of people say, "Oh, thank you for serving." That's not what today's about. I appreciate you, but that's in November. And I don't get upset about that. I know there are people that we know that get upset about that because that's how he is, but a lot of people just don't understand the difference. They don't understand what different holidays are.
It's an opportunity for education if you run across that. Just remind people that
That's right.
And nobody is going to obviously tell me thank you, that I served because I didn't. But if I hear somebody that's talking about Memorial Day in the sense of um,
being more like Veterans Day almost.
Right. Yeah. Then I'm going to say, it's more for the people that aren't with us right now. So,
yeah. And 4th of July, I mean, all of them are okay. You can thank anyone anytime you want, any day you want for whatever, for being an EMT or a firefighter. You don't have to do it on specific days. But when there are specific holidays, if your high school never taught you the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day, I think you should get your money back. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah. But, it's one of those that each holiday means something different, and there's never a bad day, I guess, or never a perfect day to say thank you to anybody. But that is one of those that if you're going to have the holidays, I think that is, 4th of July, great. People don't realize, they just think, 4th of July is like going to the lake and cooking out. Many people tend to forget what 4th of July is. They tend to forget there was this document signed back in 1776 that was kind of changed the world a little bit. Well, in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying?
There are literally people in this world, because I have run across them before. It does speak to public education, I think, that are surprised to find out that the 4th of July and the Declaration of Independence have anything to do with each other.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually witnessed that they had an aha moment, and you're like,
I
really?
Man, I literally, now I'm sure I have come across people. I just don't remember that conversation happening.
Oh, wow. The Declaration of Independence was signed on the 4th of July. Duh.
Yeah, I would love to educate somebody and see that, like you said, that that light bulb. Oh, yeah.
I had been celebrating 4th of July all these years and hadn't a clue. It's like, how do you not understand? How you take part in a holiday and you don't understand said holiday? But people have commercialism. I get it. And people do it all the time.
there's a lot of people that forget what Christmas is about. They just think it's for giving presents. Let's be real. There's a lot of people that all it is Christmas. It's
Thanksgiving.
present time.
Thanksgiving's about the football games and the
Yep.
food, and
Valentine's Day is about jewelry, I guess. Jewelry and candy.
Halloween's about
That's what drives me nuts. Is that was completely brought up by the jewelry and candy lobbies. I'm imagining.
Oh yeah,
Valentine's Day was just that's just terrible. I got a damn whippoorwill. I don't know if you can hear the whippoorwill or not.
I can hear you.
Let's go shoot that thing. Drives me nuts because sometimes it'll come in like 3 a.m. It's like, what in the hell?
Yeah,
and it'll stay there forever.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. So, anyways, we've been going about an hour and a half. Once again, thanks guys for always sticking around. Clover, why don't you plug what you got going on? Maybe who's going to be on the podcast this week or whatever.
I should be having the folks from Endosnake for Friday. I should. I mean, we'll see. But if you're not familiar with what am I thinking? Endoscopes or bore scopes and stuff like that, which is, basically a video camera. You can look at the bore on your firearm or that sort of stuff. Endosnake is a company that makes one specifically for firearms, but gotta probably talk with them. Looks like have them for Friday. So yeah, and then there'll be some produced stuff. I've got lots of things on tap, from this Walther PPQ-22 to that Gerson Regard and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll be looking for that here and there as it drops.
Yeah, I've got some stuff going to be dropped. I've got a bunch of stuff going to be dropped in the next month or so, but I've got a couple optics from Bushnell coming my way. I've got that airsoft from Umrex, the Glock 19. I'm going to do a training video, dry fire / indoor training video type thing. Be using airsoft and all that. I got a bunch of stuff. It's just going to be one of those things where I think that now that everything's starting to kind of loosen up a little bit, I think that the correspondence with the companies that we were supposed to be able to do some work with back in March and April are now going to be June and July, which is great. The only thing I worry about, and I wonder if you're the same way, the only thing I worry about is getting like 6 guns that are supposed to spread out all at once. And you're like, you can't do all of it at once.
I'm already running into that, bro. I've got, I can think of 3 companies that I'm like, let's hold off. It's like I kind of got a backlog right now. I got to get some, the weather with the lockdown crap and then weather and then other things going on. I mean, it's just I've gotten behind, and I don't even want to talk about written reviews at this point. But have got to get to work.
Jeff's a little probably upset at both of us on the Gear
Report. Thankfully, Jeff, and if anybody out there doesn't watch This Week at Gear Report every Friday evening, it's a really good time. You ought to tune into that. Thankfully, Jeff has been kind of sidetracked and procrastinated himself, so he can't point the finger too much. Thank God.
He has been the Corona Facebook. I would say hall monitor, possibly.
I don't know, but yeah.
He's been going nuts. But no, as far as us, like I said, we got some stuff coming down the line. Got some really cool videos that we're going to talk about doing a 1-man versus a 2-man room clearing and entrance. A lot of people have asked for how to clear a room or a house with 1 man and 2 men, but also the dynamic entry into rooms and all of that, and talk about all of that. So I've got a buddy of mine who's a former Marine as well, that we're going to go and shoot that video between 1 and 2 man. We got a lot of different stuff for home defense and all of that stuff as well coming down the road. So going to be a fun, trying to get some of these outdoor videos shot before it gets balls hot out there, which I know it's coming. So I'm going to spend the next, as long as it stops raining, we're supposed to get rain every day for the next week, at least like a 30 to 50% chance. So hopefully it is what it is. JMA, bro, if you can get down to Arkansas, come on down, brother. We'd love to have you. And anyways, but yeah, it's going to be one of those that we're going to do some of that stuff. I'm trying to get as many rain stuff done here before it gets just crazy hot. Even though it's only 3 or 4 minutes from my house, and when it's 98 with 70% humidity, it's not fun filming in July and August here in Arkansas. So I'm going to try to get some of that stuff done here in June before, so I can have that to release maybe in July and August, where I'm not forced to go out there. Like you can go film in July and August, even though it's balls hot, but your range is out your back door. So if we get too hot, you can just walk in. So
yeah, it's one of them situations where, yeah, if you start to sweat through your shirt, you can go in, sit in front of the air conditioner for 5 or 10 minutes and go back out. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the board at the range. So what you need is a building in there with some air
We
conditioning.
have a clubhouse.
Yeah.
But we don't. Where the range is we don't have permanent electricity now. We've got two huge generators that when we do skeet trap and all of our events, we flip one of them on and it does everything. We've got enough power in one of them. We got two of them. We have enough power in one of them. We could make it lit like stadium lights, the entire all around the damn club. And it would still run on one generator. So it's not all I gotta do is go flip the generator on, go inside the clubhouse. But it's just the idea of it's just so damn hot. You know?
I know.
It's not the fact of being out there, it's the fact of it's just I don't even it's
It wears you out. Yeah, it wears you out.
Wears you out. But anyways, we got a lot of stuff coming down the line. If you're out there, like I said, if you're live, thank you so much for everyone that was watching. Sorry about Mike, and I'm sure something's going to happen maybe next week or in the future, depending on when our schedules can hook back up. But for those that tuned in to find Mike, we're going to do that some other time. I will change the thumbnail, change the title probably as well. Defensive Dad says, Ghost going to Nebraska. I bet I know a few guys who can get in a nice range. I mean, Sandhill Shooter and Travis P11 are up there in Nebraska as well. Those guys love to go up there and shoot sometime. I don't think Nebraska, it's probably not crazy far. I mean, it's within 10 hours, I would imagine, to Nebraska from Arkansas. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to be like crazy out of the way. But yeah, so we'll do all that. If you're watching in replay, listening to podcasts, hope we enjoyed kind of the, ad lib free for all, I guess is what you could call it. Wasn't expecting this, but luckily Clover and I have done this long enough that we can fill an hour and a half up without even really trying. But thank to everyone out there who's asking questions. That obviously helps. Stay safe out there. Kiss your loved ones. Get to the range. Do all that. Enjoy the time that you have with your family and all that stuff. And stay safe. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon. Semper Fi.